in order to defend and protect the women and children who were left on the plantations when the white males went to war. The slaves would have laid down their lives. So the slaves would lay down lives. So conditioning. So I mentioned because I want to talk about conditioning. It's about being taught to think a certain way. So now,
there's a book called The Miseducation of the Negro.
Oh yeah, I read that.
The Miseducation of the Negro, and in it he says that because of the conditioning of the quote-unquote Negro, right? Negroes were used to going into the big house via the back door. They weren't allowed to go in via the front door, right? And he's actually said something that was quite funny. He said, if there's no back door, a Negro will build a back door and then go through it.
Now, remember, we're actively reading The Miseducation of the Negro right here on this channel right now. We're reading that right now on this channel. And so we know, yes, Carter G. Woodson is analyzing from a Black American viewpoint, but he's not just talking about Black American people. He's talking about Negro people, Negroid people throughout the diaspora. All of our psychologists are talking about Negroid people throughout the diaspora, how the mind was twisted via colonization. But see, that's my problem with people. Like, you got to learn to stay in your lane, man. You got to know your lane and stay in your lane and stop trying to be an expert in everybody else's lane. So the hustle life says, I'm convinced that Africans, Caribbeans, and Haitians have pretty much given up on controlling their countries. So they've decided to try to replace FBA. If that's the case, man, then stop crying foul and just say it. You know, if that's the case, just say it, just be upfront about it. Says they give him, I'm just saying, Ty. We got to represent Ty. We gonna rise above the ignorant bald brothers, Ty. We gonna rise because we ain't going for it. I feel you, Ty. Let me get it right. I feel you, Ty. Man, hey, man, I knew you was cool. I knew you was a real one. Part of the issue with aspects of Black American culture being exported around the world is that people in other places start thinking they're part of the culture. Oh, God damn it, rather than observers of it. Yes. They personalize it for themselves and they think they truly right. So they think they are really truly part of us, but then we'll criticize Americans who come to their country and do the same thing. The hypocrisy of the people. But the reason Black folk do that around the globe is because our minds have been scrambled by the white supremacists. So they are proving our points in their actions of trying to act like they're different. In the damn it, I can't get it out, but trying to separate themselves from us, trying to look down on bad Black American behavior. They're overlooking their own things and being hypocritical. We can't move forward like that, but we know that there are some bad apples in all bags, but we can't allow the bad apples to define all of us. And right now, that's one of the main things that's going wrong in this diaspora was we letting the bad apples define everybody, but that goes back to how messed up our brains are. Yep. Peace, Ernest Smith. Again, we of U.S. Antichrist are bamboozled because African Moors rescued Neanderthals and 7-Eleven rescued. We are not Africans. Most of us are indigenous, copper colored, melanin. Hey man, call yourself what you want. Like I'm always say, I don't get into the name game. Call yourself what you want. We all should have the same mission. We all in the same position. We should all know who the enemy is. As long as you know what the play is and what you're supposed to do, you call yourself what you want. You want to be a tight end, be a tight end. I'm going to be a left tackle, whatever. Call yourself what you want. But as long as we understand to keep our eyes on the prize and who the enemy is, as long as we understand the mission, as long as we understand what we're supposed to be doing, I don't get caught up in the name game. Real hey, look, y'all think the real PhD was cooking today? Wait till Saturday. I'm just saying. And she went to FAMU. She went to FAMU. That's all I'm saying. We both graduated from the same psychology program at FAMU. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. The sad part is we are all. I'm just Venus. Dr. Claude Anderson told us that if we don't learn to win as a team, we're gonna lose as a team, even if we don't want to be a team. I'm just saying, Venus, you are correct. Most coaches think FBA coaches, everybody's coaching and can't exploit it as necessary. Right. They think they can exploit it. They think they can analyze it. They think they can do anything with FBA coaching. But once again, that's because we've done a horrible job of gatekeeping. But that goes back to the psychology of an oppressed people. What is the psychology of an oppressed people? But that's where Black psychology comes in. Unfortunately, it is analyzing the psychology of an oppressed people who were once the leaders of the world. We have low IQs, more distance from Africa to be this white man's dog. We still don't want that independence like Malcolm. No, we don't. But that go back to the conditioning. Logos Black. That go back to the conditioning. Let them rattlers strack. That's how my mama said. Them rattlers got to strack again. But let's get back into the conversation. Let's get back. Listen to these guys stumble over their words. Please hit that like button because we cooking today. We cooking.
Because he knows that much that he's not allowed in through the front door. And so a conditioning.
Let me show you something that makes me furious every time I see it. This is a real tax return from someone making $284,972 per year in a W-2 income. Take a look at this. Line 16, the federal tax alone is 85.
In the Americas has been done to Black people. I said a lot of Black people in America won't like it, but it's not my words. There's a woman by the name of Dr. Joy Leary.
Okay, here we go.
She is a psychologist, Black psychologist in America, American Black woman. And she talks about post-traumatic slave syndrome, is what she calls it, post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? And essentially, Black people in America were taken, think of it like Frankenstein. You know, like Frankenstein would take the arm from this place and the leg from this place and the head from this place. And they were created into what they are.
What's a form of eugenics, Kobe?
They're severed from what they were. You see, the Black people on the continent of Africa, they still, even though they were colonized and enslaved on their continent, they still, because they were in their continent, they got to hold on to some remnants of their culture, their language, their foods, stuff like that, right? So they, even though they were colonized, they weren't totally severed from who they were. The Black American is severed from who they were.
You lying. You ain't never met Dr. Martin Luther King.
Man, Africans on the continent are as scrambled up as Black Americans. And that's what he don't get. He doesn't really understand what Dr. Joy Degruy was getting at, because she was not talking about just the psychology of Black Americans. Even she's going to talk about it. But why does Frantz Fanon exist? Why is his work so phenomenal? Who was Frantz Fanon examining? Frantz Fanon was examining continental Africans, the psychology of continental Africans, and the psychology of Africans in the Caribbean. And if you read Wretched of the Earth, if you read Black Skin, White Mask, they're not centered in Black America. He's talking about the broken psychology of the continental African and the Caribbean African, right? His work is no different than Dr. Joy Degruy's work. Matter of fact, Frantz Fanon, from transitioning from reading Black Skin, White Mask to reading The Miseducation of the Negro, they're literally talking about the same thing. It's just in different places. The degree of the colonization is the difference. The degree of how your mind was scrambled, whether you were in Martinique or Montgomery, Alabama, it will be the degree of the colonization. But both were colonized. Both were stripped of the essentials. the continental African or the Caribbean African may not have been stripped of more than the African in the United States. But nevertheless, your humanity overall was stripped from you. Your autonomy was stripped from you. Your sovereignty was stripped from you. Manhood was stripped. Womanhood was stripped. The ability to self-actualize was stripped. A new psychology was given to all of us throughout the diaspora. A brand new psychology was given. What are we talking about? Oh, we just laying the foundation for him. I was finna call him bald head, but I remembered I was bald head too, so I can't do that. But yeah. Don't worry. We just laying the foundation, my brother. I'm happy you here though. I'm happy you here. We just laying the foundation. And still over 500 years later, the African continental is still in turn. I'm just saying, find me a place around the globe where Africans or people of African descent, people of the African diaspora, really got it together without colonial help. We're gonna get into it, but this ain't the main video. We're gonna get into it. But you know, this is how we get into it. We gotta make sure we understand. Continental Africa. I'm just saying. Yep. He says we were separate, but then tried to claim our food, our music, our hoodoo, etc. as Africans. So which is it? We were cut off, or have we transmuted to something? They don't know. He don't know. He's just talking. Do they know the difference between chattel slavery and being just slaves? No, they don't. I'll tell you, it's surface level. It's a surface level conversation because they don't really understand. Well, you can have all those natural resources, but if you don't have control of that, if you don't have control of your mind and your humanity, you're not gonna have control over your resources. That's all I'm saying. And let them finish this little part so we can get to the grand video.
And then cultivated and created into this being. So they don't have a natural language. Their language is the language of the person that created them. Do you get what I'm saying? They don't have a natural religion. Their religion is the religion of the person that created them. They don't have everything that they have has been cultivated by the people that created them.
Okay, but we're all
so when you talk about miseducation, they're not miseducated, they're educated in the way that the people that created them to be educated by. How? The fear was educated into them. The violence educated into them. Everything was educated into them via the people that cultivated them. So they're not miseducated. They're educated. They are moving along the exact line that they're supposed to move down because the people that created them that way created them for them to be like this.
So they are completely so just no disrespect to Americans.
No, it's not a disrespect.
So in other words, it's like you're saying that they're completely lost. Unless they follow that trajectory and they continue on that trajectory.
They're completely.
But how do they go from being the person that was, protecting the master and supporting and being, come back as a wounded, looking after them, to the person that now is so anti-white and the hatred towards white people?
Black people don't hate white people.
You don't think that's the case?
They say they do, but they don't. And this is where I get controversial, right? If black people hated white people, if they really hated them, they would treat them the same way that they were treated. They don't. They love them. So what happens when a white person? They love them.
I don't hate white people.
No, I'm not talking. I don't hate white people. But when you said that,
for America.
But you said that they hate them, and I'm saying they don't hate them. They love them.
But there's definitely anti-whiteness. There's definitely no man.
Let me tell you something.
I see it, dude. I got tons of. Dude, if I have to put this stuff online, of like people on TikTok talking about, this, almost the disdain for white.
It's lip service. It's lip service. It's not.
God's sake, man.
Mark Anthony.
What's going on?
Mark Anthony. If I hated you, which I don't, bro, right? I would do something to you. If I hated you, I could say, oh, you see that Mark Anthony? He's a this, he's a this, he's a blah, he's a blah, blah. It's lip service. You used to be in a gang. If someone's talking about doing something, what's worse? Someone talking about doing something or someone doing something?
Someone doing something.
Right. So, because people can talk all the time. Did you hear that someone said this about you? Whatever he said. They don't really hate you, because if they really hated you, bro, they'd do something to you, bro.
All right. But what he don't realize is the larger part is that means no black people throughout the world hate white people, because ain't none of us doing nothing. Ain't none of us doing nothing to the white man. I'm just saying. First of all, the type of hate white people have is not but once again, when you are surface level, when you don't really understand what you're trying to break down, that's what happened. It says, despite what this man said, FBS still have the warrior spirit. We fight, we don't flee. He just talking, right? His logic works on himself, but he is being obvious. I'm just saying, well, I believe he's Nigerian, I believe, Ghanaian and Nigerian, and we can see the state of those countries. They're not fighting back for nothing. But like I say, so that video pissed a lot of people off. As you can see, it's still pissing people off. And so Dr. Ma'at caught wind of this, and Dr. Ma'at called up Dr. Joy Degruy to get some straightening on her ideology of the post-traumatic slave syndrome. And one of the reasons Dr. Ma'at says is she doesn't want the new generation. She don't want some young people to be looking at this video and think that Dr. Joy Degruy was psychoanalyzing Black Americans in some kind of surface level negative kind of way. She was giving us an example of what happened to the mind of the Black people throughout the diaspora, and Dr. Joy Degruy talks about that. So why not let Dr. Joy Degruy explain herself? So that's what we're gonna get into. That's what we get into. So make sure you go use the bathroom if you need to. Go get your popcorn, wash your hands if you use the bathroom, get you something to drink. I got my 40 with me, and we getting into it, man. We're gonna get our learn on today. We're gonna put our learning hat on today, and we're gonna let Dr. Joy Degruy, teach us. So let's get into it. Is y'all ready? Is y'all ready? Tell me, is you ready? Say I sure is. If you ready, first of all, if you ready for this video, hit that like button, and then in the comments put I sure is, because we about to get into it. Dr. Joy Degruy and Dr. Ma'at about to bless us with this information. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let me share my screen. And once again, another big shout out to Dr. Ma'at for her platform, for her work, all the work that she's done in STEM with the black youth. I love how her and Brother Unc come from a scientific point of view rather than dropping that pseudoscience. Uptight, I already know you ready, Uptight. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Trump said he might invade Nigeria over them massacring Christians, although it's an obvious justification for colonialism. I think he should worry about his own folks. They never worry about their own folks. They never worry about their own folks. My man Ricardo Float is up in the building. You already know what it is. Welcome, Ricardo, man. Welcome to this Tuesday, early Tuesday live, man. I appreciate you being here. I sure live. Let's do it. Hey, Dr. Joy Degruy, Dr. Ma'at. Let me stop talking. Let's get to learning.
Brother Tim, I see you. He said, I see you, Dr. Ma'at. I click, I'm happy. Baba Gregory Turns is in the building. I just saw you, Baba, at the memorial service. But peace and love to you, Baba. He said, Hotep, Dr. Ma'at. I made it in time. Good seeing you again. Looking forward to the talk tonight. Race First is in the building, says a BB Fahodier.
Hold on. So Dr. Akbar is still living. Dr. Akbar lives not too far from me. Dr. Akbar is still alive. He lives here in Tallahassee, Florida. Yeah, he did teach at Florida State. He is still living. I run into him time to time in the grocery store, one of the Publix grocery stores. I run into him time to time, and I am associates with his son, Mutaki Akbar. So I'm working on it. That's what I'm working on. I've been thinking about that. I'm working on getting that interview with Dr. Naeem Akbar. So Ricardo Float is in the building. So the hustle life, I'm working on that one, but let's get back into it.
He's first Ashe. So I see S.A. Smith said peace to everyone. S.O. I see S.O. is in the building. S.O. says this, be strong, our powerful queen. Oh yeah, very happy to invite our great scholar, Mama Degruy. It's your African brother Eso from the Togo. So Queen Mother, we had people from the Togo all over watching it. He said, peace and love, make our motherland Africa great again.
There you go.
And so Queen Mother, I had to reach out to you, Doc. I had to reach out to you. And let me be honest why I reached out to you. I reached out to you because of your work, right? Post-traumatic slave syndrome. And lately there have been some videos that have gone viral. And what I've noticed is people are taking your work and they are misrepresenting it, they're misconstruing it, they're misinterpreting it, all of the misses, right? I'm just and to try to say that Black Americans or Africans in America, or some people say foundational Black Americans, some people saying American descendants of slaves. We have all these different terms now, but they're trying to make the point that we are a created people, that we were created by white folks, that we have no culture, we have no values, that we have no identity, because they're saying the culture and identity and values and even principles that we have, it was all given to us by white folks. Actually, the person whose video went viral, they said that Black people in America are like Frankenstein, like we were kind of like put together in a sense, because we were, in his words, totally severed from the continent. And so I'm gonna be honest with you, Dr. Joy Degruy, I laughed when I saw it. I was like, this is ridiculous, you know what I mean? But the mere fact that it went viral, I took issue with that, because there's a whole nother generation who may have not heard of you and your work. They may not have read it.
You, Ricardo.
And their introduction now to Dr. Joy Degruy's work is, oh, you know, this woman created this concept that's saying that Black Americans have no culture, identity, they're Frankensteins, they're this. And I said, no. So to me, I thought it was very important that I reach out to you just to have a discussion with you about post-traumatic slave syndrome. Could you unpack this? Like, when did you write it, and why, and what are you talking about? Because some people just don't know. They just don't know, Doc.
And there's a revised update of that.
Oh, I gotta get it. I gotta get that.
But aside from that, you know,
yes.
I think the concept was born in a lot of different ways. First of all, it was the first iteration of it was in 2005 when the book was published, and I believe it really came from where it comes from everybody else who it resonates with. People who don't even know what it means, that hear post-traumatic slave syndrome, go, yeah. You know, they don't even know what it means, but it resonates because it makes sense. You can't go through 300 and plus years, 100 years of trauma and there not be some residual impact, good or bad. Something had to happen. And for me, I think it began with me growing up in a household where being Black was a very healthy, normal, and true sense of who we were. So I never was confused about my Blackness. My parents are from Louisiana, and in addition to that, my grandfather is from Belize, and I did the DNA, and I'm from the Mende tribe. Okay, so we were clear. But my father, who went to the 6th grade, called himself an Asiatic Black man before Black was beautiful. My father had a real sense of who we were as a people. So I didn't grow up with any disparaging perspectives of my Blackness. However, I grew up around hearing it, right? Now I'm 68 years old. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. And I would hear all the kind of degrading things that people were saying. Oh, she was really pretty, even though she was dark. He was nice looking, he was light skinned, he had good hair, all that, and I would listen to that. And I would also hear people who were mad at me because,
Sion, what's going on, Sion?
And before
Appreciate
anybody
you.
would beat you up or
Mr.
jump on you,
Cabuline, appreciate
they would
you
curse
as
you
well.
out first, right? They would call you out of your name. But the first thing they would call you was black. You black, fill in the blank. You black. And, you know, I remember as a kid going, was that supposed to, you know what I mean? You black too. What are we talking about? You know,
Right.
I mean? But when it came, when I got in my little kid mind and understanding that they were seeking to hurt me by calling me black, that's when the bells went off in my head. What is wrong with this picture? Because, you know, I didn't, you know, hear white kids, you white, you know, I didn't hear it anywhere else, but I heard it with us. And I'm going, what is that? Right. So I think it was always kind of there, the question in my mind about some of the things I saw us do and say that I didn't understand because I was a kid, for
That's
one
a good
thing,
question,
right?
Ty.
And a couple of those things that I've actually talked about, you know, kind of got out there, and then it was kind of a roller coaster because Black people were kind of going, yeah, I remember that. That's what my grandmother used to say. And, you know, all of a sudden it becomes something that we become aware of that we never interrogated or questioned. It just got passed along, right? And so as I started to look at some of those behaviors, some of those attitudes, I wanted to understand their ideology because they weren't African. I've been in 7 countries in Africa. It wasn't an African thing, but it is a Caribbean thing. It is an African American thing. It is, you know, those throughout the diaspora who were traumatized by this specific kind of enslavement.
So you hear her saying that. You hear her saying that this is something that happened to the diaspora. While Sarah Garvey was making the argument, and he made a whole video surrounding this is what happened to the Black American. But she's talking about what happened to Black people throughout the diaspora. Can you imagine if Dr. Claude Anderson and Dr. Joy Degruy would have had, oh man, that would have been crazy, man. That would have been crazy. That child would be excellent. Not most of the unconscious are too dangerous for women and children to be around. Look at all the revolutionaries that have helped people. Says, I was just thinking about how far the extent we've been had and do. Yep. And so it's like we know why we have an abundance of people who we would call unconscious. And then we have a group of people that we would call conscious. Now, how are we defining unconscious and how are we defining conscious? Are we defining that through our actions, or are we defining that through how we speak? If we can collect information. And I'm saying that because going back to what Dr. Amos Wilson say, what Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about, what Carter G. Woodson is talking about, like your education should prepare you to solve your problems. To be my new definition of consciousness is I am able to solve my problems with the information that I have. And if I can't solve my problems with the information that I have, am I truly conscious? Right? And so, but getting back to what Dr. Joy Degruy is talking about, she's talking about how the total minds of the diaspora has been made unconscious, if we want to go ahead and use those words, right? The mind of the diaspora as the whole, Black people throughout the diaspora. That's why we behave the way we do. That's why the infighting is so rampant. That's why the diaspora wars is going on and they ain't gonna stop. And they didn't just start with the internet. The internet put a spotlight on what people was already saying behind closed doors. Lacking morality and cultural values are unconscious. I just had this discussion with Zola Mondays with A.B. Silas. Yes, lacking morality and cultural values are unconscious, and not being able to create anything for yourself and your people lets you know that you are unconscious. If you do not have the answers to the questions, you are unconscious. Epigenetic generational transmission of trauma within. Yes. None of us is safe. If you are within the African diaspora, you are not safe from the epigenetic generational transmission and trauma. There you go. Back to the video.
Chattel slavery was very different from any other form of enslavement. Slavery wasn't new. This is what the pushback I got immediately. Well, you guys enslaved each other. Well, so did you. Matter of fact, there were very few societies in the world that did not have some form of enslavement or servitude. Really important to know that even on the continent of Africa, they didn't even look at it as slavery the way we look at slavery.
Teach.
I mean, I'm just learning this from African scholars, having spent some time there, and really talking about the forms of enslavement that existed on the continent prior to invasion of the Europeans, right? So I'm beginning to take a look at, in this investigation, in this research, I want to understand why and how we got to be who we are today. And we are incredible. We are incredible people.
Absolutely.
Far be it for anyone to suggest that we are damaged goods or any of that, right? It's about really understanding how we survived this and in what way we survived. And surviving isn't always pretty.
Right.
You do what you have to do. So
Right.
post-traumatic slave syndrome, the best way I can share it is, aside from the obvious ones in terms of our denigration of our bodies, our skin color, the shape of our lips, our butts. I mean, you name it. And one of the more recent things that came up that kind of jumps out for me, especially for young audiences. You had the young sister Gabby, who was a gymnast.
Yes.
Who won gold. Remember she won gold?
Yes, she won the gold. Yes.
That girl did stuff that, defied human ability.
Yes.
Won herself a gold. And the chatter was about her hair.
Her hair. Yeah, I remember.
And to me, that was one of, and it broke her heart.
Yeah, it did. She started wearing weaves. Remember, she started wearing the weaves and yeah.
It was just.
She did. It was
awful
bad.
What
was awful.
happened to her from her people.
Absolutely.
She just doesn't want a gold medal, and all we could think about is her natural hair coming out.
But that's the self-hatred that the diaspora as a whole has, because Black women around the diaspora, especially those who are exposed to this westernized stuff, wear those wigs, have that mindset, have that self-hatred, the skin bleaching, the wanting to have the European features, the secret obsessions of white men, those things happen. And of course, we know the men are not exempt, but you're talking specifically about something that happened that was on display for the world. Gabby Douglas was in the Olympics kicking ass, and the Black women were ridiculing her because her hair wasn't done and she was doing an athletic competition. But that just shows you what Dr. Joy Degruy talks about, that vacant esteem, that lack of self-esteem, that self-hatred. But that's just not a Black American thing. Black people around the world are like that. Look at how we treat each other.
And being seen. Right. So what I look at when I look at that, I'm going, where is the ideology that I've been in Africa? Nobody's talking about your hair. That wasn't, in the places I've been anyway, not to mention that we are influencing folks in the wrong way in Africa. But there, in terms of the culture itself, this is not one that has this introspective, hatred. And this kind of vitriol for one another, because you see, if you don't present yourself correctly, then it affects the whole race.